According to legend, the author was a minor government official in a provincial border town. We know him only by his job title, Yakusho, and the honorific Ji. Ji, we call him Ji. As a child, he must have seemed extraordinary. The people of his town pooled their resources, put all their faith in him, and sent him off still prepubescent to Kojian to sit exam after exam. It is possible, of course, that they drew straws, or that he was the only child left after some sort of calamity. Could be calamity. Ji Yakusho wrote a parable about luck. He wrote about a city worker who left the lockbox unlocked one day. A thief in the night came and took the town's funds. Oh, the people cried and cursed his rotten luck for forgetting. But the next day the thief was found. He had fallen off the road at night and struck his head and was dead. The town's money was returned, and more. Oh, the people cried and praised his wonderful luck, and fortune recovered and redoubled. But the next day, the thief's father, a horrible warlord, came and demanded to know what had happened to his son, and in his anger killed every child in the town. Oh, the people cried and cursed his rotten luck at ever having had anything to do with the thief. But the next day, the army came through and heard what had happened, and took off after the warlord, and found him and killed him, and confiscated his property for the good of all, and left the women, some of them were quite beautiful, to survive as they will, and many came to the town and made fine workers and lovers and wives. Oh, the people cried and praised his wonderful luck at his fortune of fresh young women and the making of babies. Yakusho might be such a baby. However, it came to pass, Ji Yakusho sat the exams in Kojian, and sat them and passed them until he was accepted into the government and given oxtails to hang on his hat, and an official coat and an official seal. For years he trained in Kojian, but was finally sent back to his town, perhaps to make it a city. Ji Yakusho praised the utterly useless in his writing. He wrote about the lion's tooth flower that bloomed all over the capital. It was small and washed out and tooth-leaved and bitter, and neither crowded out nor nourished the garden-laid flowers and plants of the city. The lion's tooth was everywhere. Yakusho pointed to the lion's tooth and said, "Look at this, a perfectly happy, perfectly contented, perfectly successful thing. None can make use of it for decoration or food or poison, none plant it or cultivate it, but because it is useless and because it bothers no one, it is everywhere. Oh, that we all could be a lion's tooth. A good thing to be." So it is possible that Ji Yakusho failed one too many exams, or was simply useless as a capital bureaucrat. At any rate, the master returned to his home and set to work in the office, and for years conducted official business as well as any might need, and no better. He thought often, read all he could in his official seat. One day he determined to leave, out of the town and beyond the border, to study, they say, or maybe just to find a fine banana tree under which to sit and fish. It does not matter. He made ready to go, and took up his bag and went to the gate, and the guard told him he could not leave. But Ji Yakusho wanted to leave. He wanted to leave. So the guard told him that since he was so full of stories and advice, it would be to the harm of all Berlin if the city official would be allowed to go without first draining his head of all thoughts and philosophy, a new philosophy. So it came to be that Ji Yakusho sat down on a stone and took out paper and ink and wrote for the guard the sum of his knowledge and thoughts and recipes for living long and well, and for governing justly and long and well. The writing took maybe a week, The guard's reading took a day at least. The understanding of that, we are still at work. Still we read. Jiaksho was a minor government official who wrote down all that he knew in 108 verses and stories. Study them well, and you will know what to do in all things. You will know how to govern best, and how best to be governed. You will know the illusion of black and white, hard and soft, dark and light, good and bad. Of all, the best is 103. Do not try to succeed. Trying is the enemy of success, and success runs from it. Better far to do a thing or not do a thing. Keep it simple. Consider the storyman who first makes a story. His interest is in the story, and only that. He does not try to tell the story, but allows the story to flow from within. The events and the characters pour out and resolve themselves without effort. His audience hears and senses the purity of the storyman's story, and it is a success. But the storyman's next efforts, will they come as clearly? Since the ideas for those stories are born and half-formed while the man is without success, they have the advantage of having been fully tried. But look at how he second-guesses himself, how he twists and changes his story. Surely, he thinks, the original cannot be so satisfying. He must try to satisfy his audience, and the story is good, but not as good as it could have been, should have been. Does the storyman learn from his mistake? No. For years he thinks and thinks on his story and how it was received. His audience begs him for more, and the storyman tries and tries and tries, and what he creates is filled with all the excitement he can muster, all the latest tricks and gimgamery. It is 100% try. It is a failure. Let him try again. Again. His stories have lost all freshness. They are nothing but try. Success runs from him, and he will never catch it. Success is a cat. Do not try to catch the cat. Do not reach for it. Do not even sit there trying to fool it. No, forget the cat. Ignore it. Go about your business. Focus on your story without your knowing it. The cat is there, purring, licking your hand. Success at hand. Do not try. To do or not to do, that is the only question. The guard let Jiaksho leave, of course. He left us his book and walked out into the world beyond the borders of Berlin. But still, Berlani.